Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live via YouTube streaming, via Facebook streaming, and also via Skype online. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming. Desire for perfection. Everyone wants to attain to perfection. This desire for perfection has become a psychological disease. In fact, perfection is neurosis. Perfection means the end has come. Nothing is there after that. Whereas life is continuity. All the perfectionists are neurotic in one way or the other. Why is there desire for perfection? It is for the search of the lost womb, the paradise lost. When child is conceived and remains in mother's womb, he is utterly happy indeed, and that memory still persists. It is not just a memory in the brain, but it is in every cell of the body. There is this memory, and this memory continues to linger in our being, in our cells. That period of 9 months has been of eternal joy, relaxation, and let go. Nothing was to be worried about. Where am I going to get the food from, or anything else. This was a total relaxation and a state of let go. Man wants to attain to the same state of relaxation and let go. It is not easy to forget those moments. Even though consciously you have forgotten about it, but it remains deep within. The moment child is born, all that memory is erased. But it remains deep in our subconscious. And because of the birth trauma, you become discontinuous consciously from it. Yet the unconscious still lingers and hankers for it. It tries in every possible manner to reach to that paradise again, reach to that. What is paradise? The state of utter relaxation and a state of let go. That is what literally paradise means. Total relaxation and a state of let go. The search for religion consists of that search, and the whole science too consists of that search. Scientific endeavor is to create that womb outside with central heating, central air conditioning, better clothes, better living conditions, and better technology. Virtually the whole effort is to create the womb outside so that you can be totally relaxed in a state of let go. Religion, on the other hand, tries to create the same situation, same womb inside you. And how does it do? Through prayers, meditation techniques, love and God. but the effort basically remains the same. How to gain those beautiful period of 9 months, that womb, that state of relaxation is lost. The lost womb is the source of the parable of Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden. The lost womb. The womb when Adam and Eve were in a state of total relaxation and let go. That is lost. How to regain that? So we search. Deep within each one of you, there is a desire for perfection. The desire for perfection implies that whatsoever is the case with you, it is never up to the mark. Someone does something out of his or her consciousness at the moment, it is not acceptable to you. It is not up to mark. It should never be as it should be, but life's secret is it is as it should be. There is a gap between the two. You are never satisfied with it, and things are as they are. The breeze is blowing, the dog barking, the vehicles blaring their music on the street. This is not satisfying to you because you are meditating. How does the dog know that you are meditating? Did you go and tell the dog? Even if you tell your children not to make the noise, that you are meditating, yet still that will continue. You have to learn the art of being relaxed amidst the disturbances. They are not going to change. You are never satisfied with it, and things are as they are. You can still imagine things being better. That's what everybody does it. You do something, you make a dish. How is it tasting? Could be better. That's the usual answer. Could be better. It's not, no one ever consciously or unconsciously answers that it is very good. The answer should be it is very good. Continue making it. In the process you will learn the art of improving upon it. And that should come from deep within. You can still imagine things being better. You can still imagine better days, better possibilities. And this you go on doing. One goes on hankering for those better possibilities. Simple. How did this dish taste? Could be better. Is this the answer? You can drop this search for perfection only if you move back through the birth trauma again. If you live it consciously and you remember consciously those days in the womb, immediately the desire for perfection will disappear, and this is the effort of the meditation. It will disappear immediately, and the disappearance of this desire is a great relief, because only then you can start living moment to moment. Until those memories linger, it will be difficult for you to live moment to moment. How can you live with this desire for perfection moment to moment? It is the source of all neurosis. The man who wants to become perfect is sure to become neurotic because he cannot be now and here. He is in the future. The food is in front of you. It is this food that can give you nourishment, it can give you taste, it can give you satiation, but you are thinking that it could be better. That's the usual response. So, continue to live in the future, which does not exist. He cannot enjoy this moment, the food that is on the platter in front of him. Instead, he can only condemn it. He cannot love this woman because he has the idea of a perfect woman. She cannot love this man because this man is not perfect. He cannot enjoy this food, this breakfast, this morning. Nothing is ever fulfilling to him, and certainly cannot be. His expectation is there, and he is continuously comparing and then falling short. This is the situation of each one of us. The person who lives in the desire for perfection lives a life of total condemnation. And the society helps it too. The parents, the school, the college, the universities, the priests, the politicians, they all help you to remain neurotic. From the very childhood, you have not been accepted as you are. You have been told, be like this, only then you are accepted. If you want to live a life of your own, you are condemned by everyone. Everyone will be against you. They have to mold you, form you, change you and manipulate you. Only then you will be liked by the others. Certainly they have to design you according to their heart's desire. This is what every parent does, this is what the priest does, this is what the society does. And what is the problem with them? They are also suffering from birth trauma. But they have not understood it. They have not gone beyond this, so they continue to impose this on others. They have tried their whole life to become perfect and they failed. Nobody can ever succeed. Remember this, nobody can ever succeed to be perfect. The desire is such that it is bound to fall. Failure is inevitable because you cannot go on succeeding with the idea of perfection. But with you, the idea of perfection starts becoming more and more sophisticated day by day. As you succeed, the idea starts receding further ahead into the future. It becomes more sophisticated. More expectations surface each moment. Somehow you manage to buy a car. Someone comes and says it's a nice car. Yes, it is. But I really liked the Audi or BMW. You have not yet started using that vehicle, you have not yet paid for it, but you jumped into something more sophisticated. More expectations surface each moment. The distance between you and the idea of perfection remains the same. It is that the distance between the duality remains, I and you. I never becomes you, you never become I. The distance remains the same. This beautiful anecdote comes, the milkmaids during the time of Krishna, when he was very mischievous and doing the mischief of all kinds in the entire village. The milkmaids like his frolicsome activities, but at the same time they were full of complaints. That was part of the game. So they came to complain the mother of Krishna. So hearing the complaint so much, she decided to punish him. So she says that I am going to tie you up with a rope. She got a rope and tried to tie him up. Each time when she tried, the rope was 2 finger width short. When she found it is 2 finger width short, it is not giving the knot, she added up something more. And when she added something more, it became 2 finger larger. The gap remains always of 2 finger width, either more or less. In the same way, distance between you and your perfection, idea of perfection remains the same. If you have $10,000, you need $100,000 to be happy. You have one car of a particular make. Someone comes in who has a high-end car. The distance remains the same. When you have 100,000, the desire has moved ahead. Now even 100,000 is not enough. So is the case with everything. It goes on changing. The parents are living with their trauma. The priest is living with his trauma. They have tried their whole life and miserably failed. Now they want to live through the child. Every father says, I wanted to do this in life, but I could not, so I see my dreams being fulfilled through you. Why you want your dreams to be fulfilled through me? Then I will do the same thing to my children. The parents are living in their own trauma, the priests, the politicians, the entire society is living in its own trauma, and they have tried their whole life and failed miserably. Now they wanted to live through the children. Hence they start turning the child into a state of neurosis that you have to become this, you have to become that. They start teaching the child, this is not the real kind of living, this is surrogate way of living. They have failed. Now they know that death is approaching and their days are finished. Thus they are losing the hope. A new hope arises. They can live through the child. They can live through the child. If they were not perfect, at least their children can be. And they say a tree is known by its fruits. So children are the fruits of the tree that parent is. So if the children are perfect, then it would be the tree was perfect and the children are the fruits. This is how the whole neurosis begins and continues from one generation to the next generation. There is no end comes to it. The parents are continuously trying to improve upon the child in every possible way. All they have succeeded in doing is that they make the child feel condemned as he is. They make it possible for the child, they make it almost impossible for the child to love and respect himself as he is. Because everyone goes on saying something or the other. And once that love and respect for oneself is lost, one is lost completely in the wilderness. Once that love and respect for oneself is lost, you are lost completely in wilderness. The world suffers so much because of this madness and all kind of mental illness and physical diseases. 99% of the causes of all body-mind problems comes from this approach to attain to perfection. You do not allow your children to be real. You make them feel unreal by forcing them to feel phony, rejected and worthless. And once this idea is created in their minds that they are worthless as they are, naturally a great desire arises in them to attain perfection. With that arises all sort of neurosis and problems in life. You have to drop this whole nonsense. In dropping that, you will become for the first time the real. Reality is never perfect. Remember, reality is always growing as it is. The tree is never perfect because it is continuously growing and you cannot see the growth. Then how can it be perfect? Once something is perfect, the growth is not possible, it has come to the end. Only imperfection can have the joy of growing because it continues to grow. Do you want to remain a flower growing and opening? Or do you want to become just a dead stone, perfect, not opening? All possibilities closed, and respect your remain imperfect, because in that continues the process of growth, and respect your imperfection and you will be able to enjoy, celebrate, and you will be able to be healthy and whole. Then you will not need to go to a psychiatrist or psychoanalyst. Also, there will be no need for shock treatments either. In fact, if your mental stress disappears, your body feels completely relieved. Many diseases will automatically disappear from the earth if this foolish idea to become perfect disappears. So someone tries to be perfect, next one wants to be enlightened, not happy with the way he is. I am going to the temple, I want to be the enlightened one. But this has been taught from the churches, the temples, the mosques and the universities, everywhere. Everyone seems to be part of this conspiracy. Everyone seems to be utterly determined to make every person perfect. And not even a single perfect human being has ever existed, because perfection cannot exist. Imperfection is the way things are. Imperfection is beautiful because it has the potential for growth and flow, a continuous flow. Perfection is simply the death and nothing else. Life is imperfect. It is total as it is, and life enjoys imperfection. I teach you how to be total in the moment, not perfect. And these are two different goals. Perfection is neurotic goal, totality in whatever you are doing. You are into it totally, this is same. Perfection is in the future, totality is here now. You are doing something, I am speaking to you, I am totally with you. With all my awareness. You can be total this very moment because totality is choiceless. You can be total in anything, it does not matter. You can be total in your anger, you can be total in your sex, you can be total in whatsoever you are doing. It does not matter if you are cleaning the floor, cooking the food, or writing a poetry, or washing the car. You can be total this very moment. It needs no preparation. Certainly it needs no preparation. You are washing the car, you are cleaning the floor, be total into it and you will find tremendous joy. With your totality, you enter into the state of godliness and nirvana. When you are total, the self disappears. Indeed, that is the beauty of totality. In your totality, when you are in something totally, the self disappears. Just try to understand this. Totality is subtle and of immense significance. When you are total, then the self disappears. Have you ever seen any total moment? Have you ever been total in any moment? Have you experienced the moment of totality? When you experience, then you know the self immediately disappears. Try to do something totally. If you are totally in love with a woman or a man, the self disappears. When you are making love, the self disappears. If you are totally in it, if you have gone for a morning walk and you are total in it, nothing else matters in that beautiful moment. Just the morning and you disappearing into one another, absorbing one another, imbibing one another. You and the morning, the birds, the trees, the sun, you are completely drowned in the moment. Self disappears. That is the moment of bliss. Bliss comes in a moment when the self disappears. Bliss is when you are available to the precise moment totally. The disappearance of self is benediction. You will know what Buddha means no self when he says no self. He means a state of utter bliss. He never uses the word utter bliss because he knows you. You can make a goal out of it. You can start striving to attain to the state of utter bliss. You can make it a goal of perfectionist, and then you have missed the whole point. If you are total, bliss happens as a byproduct, because in that moment of your totality, self disappears. Dancing, singing, listening to the music, or just being with me and these words, something happens. I can see this happening to many. I know when I look at your face whether there is self or not. Your face immediately has a different quality and a glow. When I look at you, the self is not there. You are just an opening. You are just an opening like a window. In those moments, God is there, you are not. All clouds have disappeared and the sky is utterly clear, transparent, and sun is shining in its utter glory. Whenever your self disappears, even for a moment, suddenly the luminousness is there on your face. That quality of magic that arises around you. But you have been taught to live in a non-total way through the idea of perfection. Learn the art of totality. In totality, self disappears, and just contrary is the case with perfection. With the idea of perfection, self goes on strengthening. It is the ego that claims to be perfect. I cannot be total, because in totality I is never found. Hence it appeals to the ego to become perfect, to be the most perfect man or the woman in the world. Ego feels elated, good. Ego starts striving for it. Ego is involved with the idea of perfection. With experience of totality, ego simply becomes non-existence. If you learn how to be here now, slowly and slowly you will see that life is beautiful as it is. Life is beautiful in its suchness, in its as it is-ness. It needs no improvement. This can be helped through birth trauma. If you go through the birth trauma, if you live it consciously again, then the whole significance of birth changes. Right now, the womb experience remain in your unconscious, deep within. It is so important that you are striving for it unknowingly. That is why people go on thinking that in the past everything was good. This is nothing but a projection because of the womb experience. In all the societies of the world, in all the religions of the world, the idea persists that golden age was there somewhere in the past. In India, they say that golden age was prehistoric, and things started falling down. We were then in a state of bliss, and then it started falling, and we have finally lost it. This is nothing but the same story woven philosophically in different ways and meaning. The original fall is nothing but the fall from the womb, the paradise lost. And the memory that sometimes before, far away in the distant past, when everything was golden and beautiful, this continues. This is nothing but the memory projected on history. Individual memory projected on collective history. And we have to attain to this again. So we become interested in the future. And this process continues. The past is important, the future is important, only present is not important. Such is your understanding and condition, and you are conditioned into it. Each one of you is conditioned into it. Man has lost the past, and now only in the future he is trying to achieve that someday. So there are two types of people. and both are not different basically. Religious people say that the golden age was in the past, and the non-religious say golden age is going to be in the future. The utopia is coming. Hindus say the golden age, Satyug, the age of truth was the past, and communists say the age of the golden era, the age of equality is going to happen, going to come in future. They are not different. They look different because one talks of the past, the other talks of the future, and both past and future are connected to one another. It's the same mechanism. They both wanted to avoid the present. The past means avoiding the present. The future means avoiding the past. The real spirituality begins with present and ends with the present. It has no past, no future. This moment is all, nothing else. Go into your childhood. You have been taught and conditioned layer upon layer. You will have to peel the onion of your mind to reach the emptiness within. And then finally you will come to the birth trauma, the day you were born. You can live it again. That is the whole process of rebirthing. You can live it again, and once you live it again, it disappears. And what happens then? Indeed, your total perspective changes. If you can live it again consciously, only if you can move back, become a child, a small child, a baby just coming out of the womb, you will go through a great suffering and agony. You will suffer the same birth pain. You will feel suffocated for your breathing, and it will become hectic. Sometimes the breathing may even stop completely. Your body will become paralyzed. You may feel you are dying because that is what you have felt when you were coming out of the womb. So you avoid it. You feel you are passing through a very narrow tunnel, suffocating and dark. This is what happens when there is an acute pain or agony. Great fear arises in your being. You will be shaken and rocked by the fear. You will need somebody to help you. Hence there is the need for the Master. He has gone through such situations. You will need somebody to protect you, console and support you by saying and encouraging. You go into it without fear and let it pass, without escape from it. Once you have passed through it, once you have seen consciously what happened in your birth unconsciously, it is wiped out completely. It is the process of the mind. Anything lived unconsciously stays on. Anything lived consciously is wiped out. It has no more hanging on your unconscious being. Then for the first time you will see the world beautiful as it is. The willow is green and the rose is red. And then for the first time you see the womb was good, but certainly not the goal. The womb was convenient, but it was only a preparation. It was not real life. It was dependence. It knew nothing of freedom then. How can it be beautiful? Yes, it was convenient and comfortable. You were not really alive. And then you start seeing that life has beauties which no womb can ever give you. All wombs are confined. That is why after 9 months a child has to come out of it because of the confinement. All wombs are prison, yet comfortable and warm. But a prison is prison. Even if it is comfortable, even if it is warm, It does not make anything else. It is a prison. You are coming out of the womb into freedom. The whole sky opens up. The sun and the moon and the trees and the stars were not available to you in the confinement. And the song of the birds and the music and all the poetry and love also were not available to you. Now it is coming to you. Once you have seen that it was not worth, it was indeed in those moments because you were growing and you were very tender and delicate and you needed the protection. Once the child is 9 months old, he hankers to come out into the world. He wants to come out of this confinement. He wants to be free of the womb. He is ready to go into the world and see the joys and miseries of the world. He is ready to go deep into the experiences, into the existence. Once you have lived the birth trauma, consciously, you have erased the pain memory, you will be surprised that something like a mist from your eyes has disappeared. And when you open your eyes, the trees will be greener than they had ever been. And everything will be totally different. You will see the world in its true colors. It is more colorful. It is a constant jubilation. There is no end to this jubilation. It is a song ad infinitum. Once you start seeing it, life begins. That is what Jesus meant when he says, unless you are born again, you will never enter the kingdom of God. He's talking about the same thing. No one can save you unless you are ready to save yourself. No Christ, no Buddha can ever save you. You can save yourself, and it is your responsibility to save yourself. And the way to save you is to be reborn, born again, consciously. Remember, if you suffer from the desire of perfection, that almost everybody does, then make it a point that you have to go back into your birth process and you have to erase the whole recording from your consciousness, and then look again with empty eyes and you will be surprised. And whenever they come across their birth experience, strange, unbelievable things happen. And once you pass through those memories, they start losing the control over you. Going through the birth trauma is the first step. If you can do it, then the second step is going through the death that precedes your birth. 9 months before, if you can go through the birth, and you can easily go through the death experience. And once you have gone through your death, your past life becomes available to you. That is why these sutras of the Zen master Iku look so depressing to you, because they are based on a totally different understanding of life. These people have known their past lives and they see the stupidity of which you cannot see. You think you are doing something great. You are not aware. If you have been in love for many lives in the past, and again always failed, and if you come to know about it, then love affair that you are in today will simply become invalid. just through that experience. Now you know that these are the ways you have always been deceiving yourself. It is a repetition, a wheel that goes on moving. The churning of the wheel has to come to a cessation. These sutras are not philosophical ones. They do not propound a doctrine or philosophy. They are based on a totally different experience of life, on a different vision. So something you will feel disturbed about these. The desire for perfection is unreal and neurotic. Only this much for this morning. Until tomorrow. Take care.